So
Hello. How you doing, Donald?
I'm doing good. It's been a long time
It
since our
has.
last podcast.
It's been over a month now, I think.
Yeah, I trying to adjust this because my light behind me is affecting the screen here a little bit.
Yeah, now that is staying daylight as it gets longer in the day. That pisses me off.
I like it. I like this time.
Do you?
Yeah,
I'm I'm just so used to everything being dark by the time it's 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock your time.
yeah. It messes you up there for a little while. It's like, good God, it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
it's still daylight out.
yeah.
So,
So
but
how you
tonight,
been?
huh?
How you been?
Oh, recovery's been very good. Um, I had been expecting a lot of pain from this last surgery, but there was very little of it.
That's good. I went to the doctor with my knee
What do you
a
say?
few weeks ago, and then thought I was going to have surgery, but they just gave me a cortisone shot and told me to do exercises with it, and I got to go back on the 25th just to update. But it's doing pretty good. I managed to. You see it right there. I was changing the brakes on my Suburban and trying to break a nut and hit the ratchet, and it come flying up, hit me right there, busted my head good.
It sounds like it's getting to the point where you shouldn't be doing anything.
Yeah, like I said, put me in a bubble. I'm
Yeah,
always
you
cutting, hitting
have
the brake or
become
something.
a danger to yourself. It seems like
Yeah,
the bashed in the head and almost lose half your hand.
yeah. Me and tools don't, I guess, work real good together.
Right.
So
Well,
I haven't been able to watch Raw, but I've been trying to watch, pieces here and there and keep updated with what's going on. But before that, WrestleMania 39.
what a, what an event!
I didn't get to watch it live because we had some other stuff going on those 2 days, so I had to watch a replay. Which, when I did finally get to watch it, I mean, it was really good.
That set was unbelievable. Um, it it was like the top part of it is like you were going into the movie theater in the 1950s. The way,
Mhm.
or even a like an opera house, a theater, the way that they had everything lined up with the lights and the bulbs up there on top.
Yeah.
Um, but the set that they had going down, wow, that was an Academy set.
And I love the way they're doing the more or less the screens. The steps and the ramp and all that stuff is incorporated into your screens and all. So it looks really good.
At first, it looked like they didn't do that with the ramp because they had done that before. Because I remember one year when Randy Orton was going down that ramp, they had a snake going down with them.
I remember that.
Um, but at first, it didn't look like they did anything like that. It's like it was just sort of like a black tarp going across that ramp, and then later on in the night, it changed colors.
Yeah. Um, I'm just curious to know how much one of those screens are. How much one of those screens cost. I
Oh,
mean, they got to be durable for one.
yeah,
But
because you
I'm
got
not.
some heavy wrestlers going down those ramps.
Yeah.
Um, but
To
still,
me,
that was
to me,
probably the best set I have ever seen so far for WrestleMania.
to me, most of the matches that they had, I'll say most, not all, were could have been a main event,
Oh yeah,
with the exception of Brock and Omos. Um,
yeah, that was a little
that was
short.
a filler to me. I can't do anything about it right now.
There's no even with Brock and Omos. There's no question. What happened?
My kid dumped something all over the floor,
Oh, good job.
and it's
I
probably
get to
some.
play pick it up.
Well, it's something to eat apparently because the dog is eating it.
Ah, okay.
Could be something to eat.
Um, there's no question that pretty much all of the all the wrestlers between the two nights, they really put everything they had into it. And some of these matches, I'm pretty sure you'll agree with me. Some of these matches are just brutal.
Yeah, they pull out all the stops on. I mean, it's WrestleMania.
Yeah,
You're fortunate enough. You're fortunate enough to in your career be included in the WrestleMania card. So you're already top notch. So now
mhm.
you got to kind of outdo yourself out there, during the show.
It is hard to be able to do that. Across the two nights, they had 15 matches, which once upon a time they actually had WrestleManias in one night that had four matches 3 years in a row. So 14 matches,
Yeah,
5, 6, and 7.
yeah.
Um,
It's back when I mean it's been what third or fourth one they've had two nights. Before that it was all one night, and
7, fourth year in a row now doing two
yeah.
nights.
So yeah, it's really hyped up now. I mean, you're making, I'm sure, double the money on uh, having a two-night deal. I'm not sure how the ticket holder thing is. If you buy one ticket and you get both nights, or is it separate tickets? Or
I think it's separate. I think it's separate. Um,
I'm
but
sure you get some kind of
thing that
discount
gets me,
nights.
one thing that gets me is Triple H said that they made $21.6 million.
Yeah, I saw where it was the most. Where is that?
Yeah, so that's what
1.2 billion,
confuses. Yeah,
highest highest grossing WWE event in history.
let's see, 21.6. So this is what confuses me. You're looking at $21.6 million, and if you divide that by the 162,892 people that were there, that's an average of only $133 a ticket, which makes no sense to me because the front row seats alone are like 3 or 4 thousand, aren't they?
That's probably, well, you got to look at it this way. That's probably what their profit was after after
That'd be the only way.
all your expenses. No, because tickets for to WrestleMania are high. Even for nosebleed seats, they're high.
Yeah, that'd be the only way that that would work out if that was strictly profit. Because he said that that was merchandise, sponsorships, all of that included.
That's a lot of cash for a two day event. That's not even including the Hall of Fame and all that stuff.
Yeah, the
It's
whole.
generating a gate of 21.6 is what I see.
Yeah,
So I don't know how
uh,
that comes with that figure, considering the price of the tickets on some of them.
the Hall of Fame. To me, WrestleMania kicked off with SmackDown, and the one thing that I disagree with what they do is they hold the Andre the Giant Battle Royal on SmackDown instead of WrestleMania. That right there, that's 30 extra people that can have a spot on the WrestleMania card.
I agree. And you could have easily done that one instead of having the Lesnar match.
Oh, even including the Lesnar match.
Lesnar match
Was just under 5 minutes.
where is
The battle royal itself would have taken 15 to 20 minutes. Um, but they had plenty of time. There was only 8 matches the first night, 7 matches the second night, and there were moments that they probably really didn't need. Um, but we'll get into that. Let's.
you know, talking about the Lesnar match, I'm glad they put it on the first of it and got it completely out of the way because you can only go up from that.
But that really that was the best way to open up the night. Because the whole thing with Brock had just lit everybody up. A lot of the other matches, it takes a lot out of a fan if you're just screaming and hollering throughout, especially with the Intercontinental match. But the one that SmackDown, they had the Andre the Giant Battle Royal match, and to me, even before they started it, I knew that Bobby Lashley was most likely going to be the winner of it because he was supposed to have a match with Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. And
See,
then
I don't know what's going on with that stuff.
yeah, it said that Bray Wyatt was pulled due to medical reasons because he got pulled from a house show and nobody has heard anything since.
Now, I read somewhere that Alexa Bliss, the reason she was out, she had some medical stuff going on too.
Who did?
Alexa.
Um, yeah, she had some kind of surgery.
Yeah, so that would explain why she's been off the past few shows and of course WrestleMania. So the
Yeah,
storyline with all that,
she
came
hadn't been
to
seen
that.
since the Rumble. She hadn't been seen since the Rumble, and now as I think about it, it would kind of make sense that that match was a bit lackluster than it could have been.
Because she could have got injured during the match.
Or she wasn't feeling her best going into it, so they just kind of phoned it in.
Yeah. So
Um,
I look for her to come back and come back as her old persona. Take
yeah,
this time to build it up before she comes back, and not just have her pop in. Build up her coming back.
that would be good. Um, but I really like the whole thing of these psychotic Alexa.
Yeah,
Because even when Bray left, they never really abandoned that kind of character for her.
right.
She stayed in it, just not 100%. But she had little touches here and there where she was still a part of the Wyatt family, even though Wyatt wasn't there.
Right.
Um, but the build up for her after he came back, that really, really slow building, I thought that was excellent the way that they did that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the storylines are, some of the bigger storylines are progressively a lot slower, so it builds up that anticipation. You know, with the bloodline, it takes
Yes.
a long time to build that storyline instead of having a month or 2 month storyline, and then it comes to an end at said pay per view. So I like the evolving storyline.
What they're
Uh,
doing now is what they had done 30 years ago. And then they abandoned it with the quick wham bam thank you ma'am stuff. Now they are really digging in and doing it how they used to do.
yeah, kind of brings back what they did with the ministry. With having Taker and Edge and Brood, Gangrel, and all them in there, and slowly building up to who is behind the scenes, pulling the strings of ministry.
Yep.
And it wasn't until a few months later that they revealed it was McMahon doing it. Pretty
Uh,
much.
it, it also harkens back to the whole Bret Hart Owen Hart, the way that took over years, literally.
Yeah,
That was the course of years. And then even before that, Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, how
it's
they
kind
kept,
of
yeah, they kept.
continuation.
Mhm. So this the stuff that they're doing now is harkening back to then, and that's what I like. Because a lot of the matches now, it's okay. We're going to do this. We're going to run it for a month, and then we're going to move on.
Right.
That's not the way to do it. Not for me. Um, but yeah, I felt bad for Bobby Lashley because I was really looking forward to that match that he was going to have with Bray, and his consolation was the Battle Royal. Really, if you think
I
about it,
I guess that maybe they'll pick up back when he gets back.
I hope so.
What would be good is having Lashley in a match, whatever, and then him just popping in, when he's released, and working that feud again instead of building him up. I think a surprise with Wyatt showing up would be the way to go with that.
And who knows, they may do that after the whole Lashley Bronson Reed feud, because that one is built. That one started building there at the Battle Royal, and they were having a match this past Monday, but they went to a double count out. So that one there is going to build, and I think that they will have a match at Backlash.
Probably so if they're building that up right now. So
And kudos to Bronson Reed because it is said that he went into that match with the flu.
with a what?
With the flu,
Really?
yeah. Um, they were supposed to have the match anyway, but they had to completely change up the show because half the wrestlers didn't get there due to travel issues. They were supposed to have Damian Priest was supposed to do a promo on Bad Bunny. There was supposed to be a match with Miz, and Miz was supposed to fight somebody. Um, but neither one of them made it. Riddle, he was supposed to make it to. He was supposed to fight Riddle. Riddle didn't get there until right towards the end of the night. Um, but anyway, Hall of Fame was really cool. Seeing Stacy Keibler, she hasn't aged a day. since the last time she was out there, and it's been how many years?
There's been a few. Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't even know what she's doing now.
right now she's being a mom.
Is that what it is?
hmm I looked her up, but I think it said that she was 43 years old. So there's still a lot that she can do, even if she wanted to come back to wrestling. There's still a lot that she can do, and she looks like she is still in incredible shape.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Stacy Keebler. Yeah, she's 43. Um, then they also inducted Andy Kaufman, which to me is no surprise considering the waves that he made back in the early 80s. Oh, you're freezing up. Um, okay, are you there? All right.
Yeah. I'm back.
So it made sense to induct Andy Kaufman in because of the waves that he made in the early 80s with Jerry Lawler. Um, and seeing Jerry Lawler doing his induction thing, that was really cool.
Yeah. I didn't get to actually watch the Hall of Fame
Oh, you didn't?
thing, but I did see the inductees. They're not on the show.
Okay. Um, Jimmy Hart also helped induct Andy Kaufman. Let me tell you this. When you look at him right now, he looks very much like what he did in the 80s and the 90s. This guy is 79 years old and he is moving around like he's half his age.
Well, it kind of goes back with the age and how much you stay active. You through the years. When you're constantly active throughout your senior years, you're going to be able to move around a lot more. Of course, Jimmy's not a wrestler. So he doesn't have all the bumps and bruises and stuff like that from years of putting your body through it.
Yeah, he's had a few bumps. Um, Great Muda was inducted. I'm not really sure the story behind that, but I think that that might have been the trade-off to have Shinsuke Nakamura wrestle him in Japan earlier this year. So that might have been the trade-off. But that doesn't mean that he hasn't had a Hall of Fame career.
Oh yeah, Muto. I mean, he's been around for a long time.
Yeah, he's
He,
60s, like early 60s, I think.
I remember him wrestling in Mid South there for some time.
He he brought about a lot of changes when he came around. Um, he is very well known for the green mist, but I don't know if he was the first one to do the mist.
I remember him spraying that in Junkyard Dog's face years ago, back in Mid South. Um,
Anybody who's anybody felt that mist. Um, and Ric Flair, it was funny. He he was doing the induction speech. He actually said shit, and it happened so quick that the censor people didn't have a chance to censor him. So after he said shit, about 5 seconds later, then you heard that silence pause. But by then it was already
too
too
late.
late. That was funny. Um, and then this one here is what I really liked. They finally inducted a referee into the Hall of Fame, Tim White. Um, long time referee. He was one of the big three for me. It's Tim White, Mike Chiodo, and Earl Hebner.
Or Hubner.
Yeah,
Was Hebner not put in the Hall of Fame?
he was not. He was actually released in the mid 2000s because he and his brother Dave apparently were caught selling merchandise and reaping the profits from it.
Ah,
Yeah. So they were released, and Earl started being a referee for TNA. Then he went over to AEW. And Earl Hebner's in his 70s. He's in his 70s. So there's no way he's still refereeing, even though he was still refereeing in AEW just a couple years ago. Um, but you could definitely tell his age by the way that he moved around. And then finally, they inducted Rey Mysterio. Conan Conan had one of the best induction speeches for out of almost anybody. The way that he talked about Ray and hold on, uh, the way that he talked about Ray, they showed a picture of Ray when he was 12 years old, and he said, "I had to work with that in order to get him going." But even at the age of 12, he knew that Ray had such potential, such talent. But I don't think even he knew what Ray was going to end up accomplishing.
right.
Um, it is pretty cool seeing an active wrestler who's not even anywhere near thinking of retirement going in. And I think that this may set a trend now that they're going to induct an active wrestler each year from this point on.
Well, it just makes sense because you get somebody that's been there for a long time. They've done the work in the business and all that, and they're still going.
Yeah,
It's nice to see. Instead of them just coming back for special matches here and there, um, actually, on a weekly basis, still doing what they do.
right. Um, I think Randy Orton might be one of those. If that is, if he ever comes back, he's had some major back issue that's kept him out for almost a year now. If they were gonna start this whole thing of inducting active wrestlers, Randy Orton would definitely be one of them. I know John Cena is surefire Hall of Famer.
I could
Um,
see him going next year.
Randy Orton or
Yeah,
John Cena,
John Cena.
he might. He might. Speaking of John Cena, so he opened up WrestleMania this year with Austin Theory. I am going to be completely honest. I am not an Austin Theory fan. Um, for some reason, I cannot get behind him. Never have been able to. Um, and I don't know how much of that is attributed from the McMahon thing when they literally they were being very blatant about shoving him down everybody's throats.
Right, and that's probably it because I'm not a big fan. It's like one of those. If he's not on the show, it doesn't bother me. It's
Yeah.
just one of those. To me, he's a filler. Um, Hello, but yeah, I mean, as far as the outcome, you knew what the outcome was going to be because you're not going to have him lose title to John Cena because John Cena is just so busy.
Well, about that, I was actually thinking that he would drop the title to John, and then the next night, because they had so few matches scheduled, I figured the next night John would come out and do one of those open challenges that he used to do with that title. And I figure, okay, WrestleMania, it doesn't get any better than this. What way to debut a hot name?
Yeah.
And that would have been the perfect time to debut somebody and beat John Cena for the U.S. title.
The only thing I can think of is if they're having him lose to Cena would um, um, end his push for whatever they got, planned for him. Um, him beating Cena now puts him up a little higher.
It does. But unfortunately for me, I just cannot get behind him. I just can't. Maybe it's because he's got the biggest lats of anybody I've ever seen. You ever notice that?
Mm-hmm.
When Austin raises up his arms, his lats are like coming way out on both sides. It's like he worked on those muscles more than any other muscle on his body. It's just freakish.
So he's skipping leg day. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Austin is built great. He has a great physique. He just spent a little more time on those lats of his.
Excuse me just a sec.
All right.
Somebody is here probably to see me. I'm going to step out for a minute.
All right, so on TikTok, some cringy dude. Yep, that little comment you made there, that is very, very cringy. Um, I don't plan on ever doing that with Rams. Let me tell you that. So yeah, WrestleMania was an amazing event. And while Don is out, I'll, instead of moving on to the next match, which is the men's four-way showcase match, I do want to talk about Stand and Deliver with NXT. They had some amazing matches on that one as well. That was also the event where Ava Reigns, who is Simone Johnson, Dwayne Johnson's daughter, made her wrestling debut and did pretty decent. She did pretty decent. And it was what was unique about this match is normally when you have a mixed tag match, it's one man and one woman against one man and one woman. In this case here, you have three men and one woman against three men and one woman. So that was kind of interesting that they did it that way. And there was a double psych where, which one? Duke Hudson, where it looked like that he was going to turn coat and join Schism, and then he backstabs Schism. That was unique. And then, and I thought that was the actual event itself. I didn't realize that was the kickoff show. But it should have been on the actual show. So then Stand and Deliver started up, and they did the women's ladder match for the NXT Women's Championship. and they did really, really good. I was actually pulling for Zoe Stark on that one, but Indy Hartwell, the way that they did that one turned out really well, with Dexter Loomis coming in and literally helping her going up. That he had her on his shoulders, and he helped her go up the ladder so she can win the title. Now, I am a big Dexter Loomis fan, and I am not liking how he is not being showcased more because that guy is talented. Um, then you had the triple threat match for the NXT Tag Team Championship. Uh, Gallus coming in for the titles. I was actually expecting the Creed brothers to win that one, but they didn't. I'm talking about Stand and Deliver. Just kind of talking about the matches a little bit. Then you had the five-way North American Championship match. That was just awesome. That was just pure awesome. I had no idea who was going to win out of that one. Wesley kept the title. And then you had Johnny Gargano and Grayson Waller in an unsanctioned match. And that match was brutal. That was the first brutal match of the entire weekend. And they damn near killed each other. Then you had the NXT Women's Tag Championship match with Fallon Henley and Kiana James defending against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Um, Fire and Dawn won the tag titles. And then Carmella Hayes versus Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship. I was expecting Carmella to win because I think it's time for Braun Breaker to move up. Carmella won. Braun actually handed him the title. You beat me. Here you go. I thought that was the best way for Braun to end his time at NXT and then move up to the main roster. Unfortunately, it didn't happen that way because then 4 or 5 days later, Braun ended up turning heel, and now Carmelo is face. Now they're going to have another big feud, which, don't get me wrong, that's going to be great because both of them are very talented. They had a great match at Stand and Deliver, but it's time for Braun to move up to the main roster. It's his time for that. Okay, with that out of the way, with Austin and John, I was disappointed that Austin won, but the way that he didn't goes right along with his character. But I was really expecting John to win it and then drop it the next night to somebody like Jay White, who I found out just signed with AEW. That would have been a perfect way to bring Jay White up, or maybe even have Braun Breaker come in on night number 2 and beat John Cena for the U.S. title. But let's move on to the next match. The men's WrestleMania Showcase Fatal 4-Way Tag Match.
Yeah, I'd actually forgotten about that one until it showed. I was like, oh, I forgot all about this match.
This match was 8 minutes and 30 seconds long, but that was a very high powered 8 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, I look forward to what they're going to do with the Viking Raiders and all.
Oh man, Viking Raiders today are what Legion of Doom were 30 years ago.
Right.
Hi Nick. These Viking Raiders they are today's LOD. They are great and they move amazing for their size.
There we go.
Uh, two big surprises for me on this one. You know how Braun Strowman, when he goes around the ring, he runs around and knocks everybody down? He was stopped by Angelo Dawkins.
Yes, he got hit hard.
Oh man, that Braun was the train, and he went into I I don't know what could stop a train dead like that. But he was moving 20
Because
mile an hour,
he
and
did it
next thing
twice.
goes
If I
flying
remember,
back.
if I remember right, he did it twice, one after the
He
other.
did. Yep, he did. Um, I don't know if they were supposed to do it that way or not. Like maybe Angelo didn't get there for that first one, or maybe if it was planned like that. But either way, it worked out really well.
Yeah, maybe it was
Um,
the build up on the first one, and then they
Probably.
do it again.
And then, this here involves Braun again. Chad Gable. About a week or two before WrestleMania, Chad had a match with Bronson Reed. Now, Bronson's a big boy, but Chad got his arms around him and lifted him up for a German suplex. He did the same thing to Braun. He did a roll up and then picked him up, deadlifted him, and did the German suplex on him. Um, Nobody could believe that he was able to do that to Braun. And I just listened to an interview just before this show where he was talking about that. And I cannot believe I did this. And Otis heard Braun saying, "Oh shit, here I go." And he went. Um, but I was pulling for the Street Profits to win on this one with Alpha Academy coming in second. I really like Otis for being a big man.
It can still
He
move.
can, he can do some stuff. Um, and there's stuff that he is doing that a man his size has no business doing or even being able to do.
Right.
But he can do the worm for crying out loud. But I am a big Otis fan. I was so glad a couple years ago when he won the Money in the Bank. Um, and Chad, I can't stand that shoes thing that he does. Although I have to admit, when Chad and Otis took on the Usos Monday night, he was doing that shoes. I gotta say, it was pretty funny the way that he did it with them. Um, but you could tell that those four guys were having so much fun with each other that night.
I didn't get to see that one. Maybe look one up.
If you can get it, if it's on YouTube, definitely watch it. That he Otis made Jay break character. He was laughing and he was behind Otis and he was trying to keep from people seeing him, but you could see it clear as day. But that match, for being as short as it was, it was just jam packed with everything out of all of those guys, and I thought they did so good. It was a great follow up for the opening match. What do you think?
Oh, as far as that match, it was a really good match. Like I said, I wasn't expecting. I had forgotten all about the Fatal Four Way. But as far as the high impact and all that stuff, you had a really good match, involved. And then, like I said, 1830 was the length of the match. I mean, you had a
8:30.
lot going on in that
Mhm.
little length of time, and it seemed to me like the card of the first night was constantly just building up
Oh yeah, it really
for
was.
next.
Um, there was not a bad match that night at all. I would
Well, let's,
not. It would
let's
not
go.
surprise me if anybody had lost their voice halfway through the night from
Yeah,
screaming so much.
the only match I don't know why they threw that in there, the Miz thing. They could have just left that completely out. Um,
Actually, I'm glad they did that.
to me, that
One,
was
gave
kind of
Miz a match, and two, they brought back Pat McAfee.
I've never been a big Miz fan
No,
anyway. Um, just haven't.
in the beginning, I wasn't, but then he started really improving, and now he is just gold on the microphone. Um,
Yeah, he was one of those guys I saw come in and was like, why are you pushing him now? Not that he doesn't deserve it because he did a lot of work.
he did.
Um, I watched that documentary on you know on him coming in and all that, and I mean he definitely earned his stuff, but and he had to prove himself, to everybody else. So, um, but like I said, the Miz match was kind of to me a kind of throw in, do something different in here, and maybe they threw it in there to, this is your bathroom break, you know.
It could be. Um, but doing what they did with the Miz on both nights, that actually gave him the distinction of being the first person to have a match on both nights of the same WrestleMania.
We'll get into that second night, but
Yeah.
that
Oh
was a
boy, there's a lot to talk about on that one. Okay, moving
totally.
on. Seth Rollins and Logan Paul. I knew this one was going to be a high impact match, knowing the talent of both of these guys. This one here could have easily main evented night one. Um, and they did some major tributes to the Brett Shawn from WrestleMania 12, their Iron Man match. Oh, you're frozen. Are you there?
There.
Okay, yeah, there you are. Um, they did some throwbacks to the Brett and Shawn match from WrestleMania 12 when they had their Iron Man match. Logan Paul doing the zip lining, which I found out he actually wanted to do that last year at WrestleMania. He asked him about doing. He asked WWE about doing that, and they said, "Well, let's get your first match in first, then go from there." So they did that this year, and then Seth Rollins coming out wearing all pink, which to me was a tribute to Bret Hart, whereas Logan did the zip lining as a tribute to Shawn Michaels.
Right.
Um, but the match itself was another very high impact match. And I wasn't really sure who would end up winning this one. I would
I would ex-
I could have
I would
either
expect
way.
Seth.
Say that
I would
again.
expect. I said I would expected Seth to win it. I
Yeah.
don't know with Logan Paul. I mean, not taking away from him, but I mean he's come a long way for a short period of time.
he has. Um, he there is no question in his ability as a wrestler. Um, Literally coming off the streets,
Yeah,
he was not a trained wrestler. He does have amateur wrestling in his background. He does have that, but his first ever professional match was at WrestleMania last year,
and it was good.
and he's earned his stripes. I gotta tell you, he's earned his stripes. But his contract was up as of that match. Um, I find out a couple days ago that they re-signed him.
They should. They got gold with him.
Yes.
Most
Now
of that
he is
period of
under
time.
a multi-year contract.
If you're wrestling, if you got and you haven't been training and you already just imagine what he can do in say 5 years from now.
Yeah. Um, I would not be shocked at all if he gets a title run. I would not be shocked at all. Um,
When you get it
Honestly,
soon,
I would say have him beat Austin Theory because I just don't like Theory. I don't want him to beat Gunther because I am really happy with what he's doing right now. Um, but we'll get into that one later. But yeah, that was a very high impact match, and then having KSI coming in,
mm,
he was when when he was coming down the ramp with Logan Paul and doing his dance inside that thing. I was actually expecting that to be Seth. I was expecting that to be Seth, um, as a big surprise to Logan and jumping right off the bat. Um,
the whole mascot thing was I don't know, a little cheesy to me. Ringside
it
started
was,
out, but
but
then
yeah,
they
you're cutting in
there
and
goes
out.
again. Is the deal was I've got kids home and I got one playing Xbox and I was home, so my streaming my net is I got a lot of people on it right now, so
Well, having him end up being the one to get that splash from Logan instead of Seth, I thought that was a really cool moment. Um, what about the six woman tag match?
I
Lita,
love
that
that match.
Trish, that
I
it,
love that
it
match. The outcome is what I expected, and it was nice to see Liv actually, you know, get more involved in more Lita stuff.
mhm.
I was worried about that. I was like, really seeing is she going to play it safe or is she going to, actually kind of and high impact stuff, high flying stuff, and it was good to see her uh, readily
Well,
involved in.
I was concerned about her because of how they had that match when they won the tag titles and Lita was looking really rough.
Yeah,
She didn't at WrestleMania.
I know she took this time, between the three pay-per-views to really start training again and getting uh, what she needed.
Okay. So while we are waiting on that, we have 52 minutes or 58 minutes left in this show. Where, well, I'm going to double check because Rosie Page is supposed to come back.
Sorry about that.
Time
We had a dog down off his chain, and come to find out he was a pit bull. So he was running loose and getting in our yard, and didn't want him attacking our dog outside or our kid that was walking one of the other dogs.
Okay. I just sent a message out to Rosie Page. She, as of a week ago, she was planning on bringing her show back tonight, which is why we started an hour early. So I'll just wait on her to get back with me. Um, Before WrestleMania, I read a story where they were planning on, because Trish said she wanted to have a heel run, and she wanted to have a match with Becky at SummerSlam. So I was fully expecting her to turn at WrestleMania, which would have had, to me, would have had more impact. Um,
Yep. And it wouldn't have cost anything on the tag title thing there. Something they're gonna build in a couple Summerland.
yeah,
Have some
but they probably
because you
did it
got
the way they did so that they can split Lita and Becky up, so and Becky can concentrate on Trish.
right.
But that is still
So
4 months away.
they'll probably let them keep the titles for a little bit, and then something will happen. They'll lose it, and then it's when it'll wind up coming to a head. With Trish turning on Becky and going that route.
Now they when they when they did it the way that they did, and they made it make sense on Monday night when they did it. Um, they never actually answered who attacked Lita, but it's clear that Trish was the one who did it.
Well, see, I didn't see
Uh,
any of that. So that was past Monday.
yeah, this past Monday, Becky and Lita were supposed to defend against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Before the match, Byron is interviewing somebody. I forget who it was, and all of a sudden they heard this commotion. Say they ran over. Lita was holding her head. She was down on the ground, and Trish and Becky were. Trish was there. I think Becky came in, um, and Raquel and Liv were also there. So Becky was accusing them of attacking Lita. So then she said, "Well, I promised a tag title match. They're getting a tag title match." And Trish came in and stepped in for Lita. And they went and had the match. And they were going back and forth for a good while. Um, and then all of a sudden, Trish went to give Liv the chick kick. Liv ducked it and rolled her up and pinned her.
Okay, so they don't have. They lost the
I,
titles.
I only got part of what you just said.
So they lost the titles.
They lost the titles on Monday night.
See, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And then Becky came in, but the way that Becky was acting was that, okay, maybe she's going to be the one to turn. But it ended up being Trish turning on Becky. Later out. And then when she walked out, Byron tried to interview her. She just kept on walking, completely ignored him. So it'd be interesting to see where they go with this one. Especially since they have 4 months now
To
to
build
build
up.
some. Yep. Um, this next match, a lot of people have been wanting this one. The
Yeah.
Mysterios.
That was that was an awesome match. The point that was very comical to me and very exciting was when he pulled his belt off and started wearing his tail out. I
Yeah.
loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, that was just perfect. I mean, father whipping your son with the belt. I mean, that's cliche. That happens in every family, and to see that during the match, that was just perfect.
Back to the beginning of the match, I thought it was really cool homage to the Guerrero. I love that part. I was like, you know,
yeah, but
it's one of those moments where it gives give you chills.
and
Seeing the low
and Snoop Dogg driving the
rider
car,
and huh?
and Snoop Dogg driving the car.
Um,
But but here's one
it
thing
was
that
very classy.
here's something that they didn't do. Ray got out of the car and he was walking towards the ramp. You could see the door that he was going to go in. And I'm thinking, okay, they're going to shoot him up where he jumps out of the ramp like he always does. They didn't show that. They did not show that at all.
Um,
Uh, and then seeing Dominic
I
coming
don't
in the paddy wagon,
say again.
Dominic coming in the paddy wagon, chained up and all of that.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Um,
The Mysterio thing go all the way with the car music all the way in to the entrance. Um, paying homage to Eddie Guerrero
yep.
and I think his legacy still alive.
Eddie has had such an impact on all of Lucha Libre that nearly every wrestler does something that is a tribute to Eddie.
Now, now during the I was really looking forward to the. I wish they did I break up.
You
Can you hear
you
me?
freeze.
Can you hear me?
Why don't you try leaving the studio and coming back in? See if
All
that
right.
works. All right, folks. Let's see if this works for him. He has been cutting in and out really, really bad. Hopefully, this does the trick. We can be able to understand them better. So we got 48 minutes. Which is here we go. Yeah,
Got me now.
you're moving around now.
Um, Back to what I was saying, I really wish they'd have had Mysterio doing the Three Amigos on Dominic. Just frog splash and all that too. So
But didn't Dominic do the Three Amigos?
I think he started it. I don't think he went all the way
Didn't
through.
finish.
If I remember right.
Um, it was pretty cool having the mother and daughter also involved in this match, and having Bad Buddy involved in it was pretty good too. Um,
I looked for them after that match was over, and they weren't seated there anymore. They had just went in the back after the match.
that doesn't surprise me. Um, I wasn't really sure which way they would go with this. To me, it would have made so much sense having Ray go over, especially since he just got into the Hall of Fame. Um, and also, you know what? I got to teach my son some lessons. WrestleMania is it. Um,
Yeah,
it would not have surprised me at all if Dominic had won because sometimes that's just how they do it. But this was the right direction to go, having Ray going over. And to my surprise, Dominic showed a huge improvement in his in-ring ability that night than he had been showing for the last couple years.
yeah, yeah. It was
Um,
actually it was a good match, and it was back Ray, Kerry, and Dominic. Dominic stepped up and did some stuff on his own
he
accord,
really
and
did.
it was good to see that it's just not a you know Rey Mysterio carried him. You know,
Right.
um,
Um,
I
so
didn't
so I'm
have
looking.
a whole I didn't have a whole lot of respect for Dominic's in ring abilities. The past few years of like, come on, man, why is he there other than he's a Mysterio? Uh, you see him actually step up and perform.
Yeah, at WrestleMania, he made people think, okay, maybe we're going to start seeing some stuff from him now. Um,
I would like
yeah,
to see down.
oh, you just froze on me again. Hello, there you are. You started saying I would like to see, and then you just froze up, and you're frozen again. Hello, there you are. I think move your head or something. Okay, lost you. We'll see what happens here. If you can't get back on, we'll probably just call it a night. Here we go. Maybe.
It went completely.
Here we go.
You got,
Yeah,
got me
you were just gone.
completely shut down. Oh yeah. Well,
And from the looks of it, you're not having any weather issues. So,
we're supposed to have bad weather coming in. I don't know if that's got anything to do with it, you know. But
huh.
right now it's not doing anything right now. So maybe night and then next week
And
get your
I,
second night. You there?
your connection's getting really bad. It's like it cuts in and out. But before you left, you said that you would like to see, like you getting ready to say something about Dominic. Hi, David. You saying that you would like to see, and then you just froze, and about 30 seconds later is when you were gone.
I would like to see eventually in that line Dominic and Mysterio joining back. And maybe that'll be something to where at that time Mysterio basically retires. See him retiring soon. He's still
No,
very active.
actually, Ray was talking about this. He was on Logan's Paul's podcast last week, 2 weeks ago. It was right before he went into the Hall of Fame. Um, he said he's not looking at retiring anytime soon. And he also said that he might pitch an idea of doing a mask versus hair match with Dominic. So we'll see if that comes up.
I would
Um,
coming with them coming together. However they play it out.
they might. I don't know. Not,
I don't think it'll be anytime soon.
no, I don't think it will be either. Because this is something that needs to be drawn out, like what they're doing with the bloodline. I can see this going on for probably 2 more years. Because now that Bad Bunny is involved, they haven't made it official yet. At least I don't think they have. Um, I'll check real quick. Backlash. Okay, nothing's been confirmed yet, but they are talking about doing Rey Mysterio and Bad Bunny against Dominic and Damian Priest. Um,
Well,
and Backlash is going to be in Puerto Rico.
yeah,
So
that's true.
that'll be a lot of fun to watch. They haven't had a pay-per-view there or premium live event, or whatever you want to call it. They hadn't had one of these events over there in 18 years. So I'm
You
sure
know,
they're
on one of
really
the on one of the post pay-per-view news conferences, I remember them, saying something about, they're going to be coming to a lot of cities that they have not been in a long time. Uh,
well. They're doing 4 international shows this year. Puerto Rico, they've already done Canada. They're going to Saudi Arabia, and they're also doing England.
so
So they're really going global this year, and I'm glad that I'm glad that they're finally doing it instead of a show every now and then. Um, I'm excited about this next one. Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. Oh no, you froze again on me. Hello?
am I there?
I heard something from you, but your connection's gotten really, really bad.
I got the best, internet that's available to me right now. So
Okay.
you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, you're moving around now.
Like I said, I got the best internet that's available to me right now.
Oh
Great.
boy, I'd want a refund. Let's at least try to get through this first night, and maybe do night number two on another show if it continues like this.
Yeah. Um, the Charlotte and
That
Rhea Ripley, of course,
Charlotte Ripley. What do you think of that one?
the match was really good. Um, the outcome, I knew it was coming. I just saw that to get the title and make a title run. And after the match, kind of see they were showing Charlotte, you know, kind of going out of character, smile.
Hmm. Okay, you've frozen up on me again. Oh, oh. Come back, Donald. Come back wherever you are. Okay, I see you moving around back there now.
Maybe I'll stay on this.
Let's hope.
But like I said, you could see Charlotte, kind of, you know, happy about passing the torch, over to
Oh yeah,
Ripley. Um, but
you could tell she was very proud of that match.
yeah, it was a
Yeah.
match. And I saw an interview with Flair saying that should have been the pay per view, or that should have been the main event of the night.
There was a lot going into the night. Nobody really knew which match was going to main event. If it was going to be that match or if it was going to be the tag match, and they showed you that they felt like they should have been the main event. And I'm thinking to myself, that's going to be really hard to do. It's going to be really hard to top that match. And then those guys, they did top that match. Those two matches, they would just. I got nothing bad to say about either one of them.
No, they were both excellent matches.
Yeah. I had never seen two women just beat the crap out of each other the way that these two did. Um, I dare say that is the best women's match I've ever seen.
I will probably agree to that. Um, how this came, back from, like the Attitude Era where it started, really getting out there with the women's matches, and
Yeah.
They're holding their own, and doing the stuff that um, the men have been doing for a while. It's good to see that on their journey and actually performing, like that, like they do.
Well, I would not be surprised if this match, along with a couple of the others, were to be nominated for a match of the year for the PWI awards.
Yeah.
Um, they've they went out there and showed you why they deserve that main event spot. Um, and even Charlotte was busted up there in the nose there towards the end of that match too. Not much, but just a little bit.
Hit her face on the can.
You cutting in and out, Don.
I'll say where Charlotte skinned her nose on the canvas during one of the moves. I don't even know if I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Um, yeah, like I said, she had skinned her nose on the canvas on one of the moves there.
Yeah, it was that belly to back suplex. Um, she landed right on her face. I'm actually kind of surprised she didn't have more damage than what she did have.
I expect to see back on the when we start talking about the second night, maybe on another show. You know, the whole Edge and Finn Balor thing was like, oh my god,
Yeah, that
that's bad.
was
I
that
saw
was
after
bad.
pictures. I saw after pictures. Oh my god, you know.
Yeah, one of the more extensive injuries they've had in WrestleMania history.
Yeah, that's one of the worst injuries I've seen.
Yeah,
Uh,
but what do you expect when you got a ladder when you got a ladder being thrown at you like that?
yeah, and that middle run caught him right in the head.
Yeah,
There was no, this. It was like, it hit him. It's like, and then when he went down, and then you immediately start seeing blood, and then the referee, over there is like, it's like,
yeah.
and then Edge, goes
Once he
outside.
started pointing cameras in other ways, you knew something
You knew
bad happened.
something's wrong.
Yeah,
Something's big wrong. But yeah, the
but
Charlotte and Rhea Ripley match was one of the matches I've seen,
yeah, that was
and they've got
they they made an argument to be main event for night number two. To be honest,
yeah. Of course, you know who was going to get that main event,
oh
without a
yeah,
doubt.
yeah,
But um, I'd
but
like to see. I want to.
but even
I want.
still,
I want to know who Ripley's going to wind up, going after it backlash, or who's going to go after because there's
um,
nobody on the roster that can compete with her right now.
well, the night after WrestleMania, they did a little teaser when Bianca Belair came out and did a promo, and then Rhea came out. So they were doing a little teaser as to not if they're going to face each other again, but when. But I have been saying for a long time that Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair is my Stone Cold Steve Austin The Rock. Those two are the equivalent of that for me.
We're top of that. If they put we don't see them doing that either. I just don't want to see the two titles on one person. And I think it's just a wrong way to go.
It, it would make sense if they did that in terms of Naomi. If she would have joined the bloodline and then Roman would tell her, bring the women's titles to the bloodline, I could see them doing it that way. But with Bianca and Rhea, no. I don't see them merging the two titles. Or I don't want to say merge, but I don't see them bringing the two titles together.
Yeah, I don't. Unless they do some kind of really push Rhea over the top and have that match and have her have the undisputed, you know, women's champion, like really elevating her persona, big carrying. But there again, I'm not a big fan of one person having both world titles. I think they need to remain split up. I think they split up Romans. I think they need to split up the tag titles.
Well, they could do that because they did do that with Becky Lynch 4 years ago when she won both titles from Charlotte and Ronda. So maybe they could. I don't know. Um, but this is Rhea's time, and it is also Bianca's time. Even though Bianca's now had the title for over a year, but that's for the next one. Um, but this is their time, Rhea and Bianca. I am so glad to see Rhea doing what she's doing now because she has so earned it. She has so very much earned it, and her having the torch pass with Charlotte. Charlotte, like I said, you could tell was very, very happy with that match.
Yeah, it had a little bit of everything. I mean,
It did.
constant near falls when you thought it was over. And the same way with the tag titles. You expect it's like, all right, this is it, that's it. Ain't nobody getting up from that. And it's
Yeah.
still pulling out the kickouts, and I'm like, holy crap.
Right there at the end, just before Rhea did that slam from the ropes, Charlotte. I forget how what they did, but Charlotte ended up going limp across the rope and on the ring post.
Yeah,
And for a second there, I thought,
she was knocked
oh,
out.
did she get knocked out legitimately?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was like,
Um,
oh, she's completely out.
but damn, what a way to end it though, the way that they did that.
You knew it had to be something very high impact, something that he hadn't seen as of yet. To
Yeah,
really push it over.
they did it. They did it. They pulled everything out there on that match. That was damn near a perfect match. When you think about it, with what those two did, you could almost say that that was a perfect match. Um, cannot say enough about those two. They they went out there to show you, hey, we deserve a main event spot. They proved that they deserve a main event spot. Um, but the actual main event said nope.
Yeah,
With all the stuff that they did,
yeah. Like I said, the constant near falls in that match and in the tag match. At any point in time, you thought it was over, and they're kicking
yeah,
out, and which I kind of figured the outcome on that one as well was going to be, with Zayn and Kevin Owens.
hmm
Kind of saw that coming, and then you're really hyped up for the main event the second night,
yeah.
and you're thinking the bloodline is over. Um,
Um, with this match, I was looking at it from different perspectives. If the Usos retain the title, there's no question that Roman's going to retain. But if they lose the titles, okay, now what's going to happen with Roman Reigns' reign? Um,
yeah,
I could see it going either way, and the way that they were just punishing Sami Zayn is like now it's just you you're beating the crap out of him, you're torturing him, and now it's gotten to where okay, you're playing with him now. Because Kevin can't come in and save you; he's out. So now you get to toy with Sammy. Um, it and also looking at it from a historical angle, this is only the second time in 39 years that a tag match main evented WrestleMania. But this is the first time where the tag team championship main evented WrestleMania.
So I'm guessing that the Mega Powers versus Mega Bucks was one of them.
No, that was SummerSlam.
That was SummerSlam.
WrestleMania 1, it was Hogan and Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff. That was the first main event for WrestleMania, and it was a tag match. So never since then had a tag match main event in WrestleMania until this one.
The other night.
Yeah. Um, to me, it was the right call that these guys should have been the main event. Um, Mainly because of what's all involved and everything, and then also for the historical factor that this is the first time that the tag team championships are on the line in the main event.
Right.
Um, so I would say they made the right call for this, and the way that this match ended was perfect for for this match and the perfect way to end night one of WrestleMania.
Yeah. I mean, no matter what you threw at them, they were still coming on top, coming out
Yeah.
on top.
Um, and one haluva kick wasn't enough.
Right.
Two haluva kicks wasn't enough.
No.
And then he paused before that third one, and you knew that
This was it.
he said this in an interview right after that pause was not his intention. He was supposed to do three haluva kicks and go. But he paused on that third one, and that just brought out the emotion of the entire thing into that moment. Yeah, I'm getting chills just thinking about that, actually. Um,
Yeah, I didn't get to watch the after show. Um, one because I was, and
Yeah.
even the second night show, because I think I started watching. I think I started watching the main event night while it was live.
yeah.
I remember that. I was watching the main event live. I said, well, at least I'll get to watch the main event. And off about 5 or 6 minutes to the end and went off. And then I tried for a good, I don't know, 10 minutes to get it to bring back up, and it wouldn't come back up.
Oh, that would piss me off so much.
They were doing the post show, the interviews. I said, well, I can't watch this because I haven't seen anything else. So I
That
tried.
would piss me off
I tried
so
for
much.
a little while, and I was like, before I went to bed that night, because I was at work. Before I went to bed that night, I said, all right, I'm gonna get one more chance. So I actually got to watch.
You wanted to watch.
So I actually got to watch the main event, before I watched everything else.
Okay. But Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and this is the second time that Kevin Owens now has main evented WrestleMania. And back-to-back WrestleManias as well. And I read that this also gives Kevin Owens the distinction of being the first person to main event two WrestleManias and not be involved with the world title, even though it's for the tag titles, but for the world championship.
Right. I was fixated the first person to do it two WrestleManias row. It's like that's got to be Hogan, but it was always a title
That was,
deal.
yeah. Hogan remains the only one to main event four WrestleManias. Well, actually, no, not anymore. No, no. Roman was on track to do it, but no. Hogan main evented four WrestleManias in a row. Um, let me pull this up. One, two, three, one, two, three, four, five. Hogan actually main evented five WrestleManias in a row. WrestleManias 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. He wasn't supposed to main event 9. That was Bret and Yoko. But then Hogan came in and did that impromptu match. So Hogan has main evented five WrestleManias in a row. Roman has main evented four in a row. And since then has main evented um, one, three in a row now. So Roman Reigns has actually main evented seven WrestleManias, and Hogan has main evented eight WrestleManias. So he's just one off.
So I wonder how far they're going to go with Roman's title run.
Well, now that he has won at this year's wrestling, there's no way that he can lose it anywhere else but WrestleMania. There's no bigger venue than that.
Right.
So
I agree.
yeah, at this point, he's now going to hit that 1,000 days, which is what I wanted. But he needs to go to WrestleMania. If anybody's going to beat him, WrestleMania is the one. Um,
I
but
saw.
before
Go ahead.
I was going to say, but before we even get into that, Sammy, Kevin, and the Usos. There's a lot of speculation that there's something going on between Sammy and Jay, where Jay is going to betray the bloodline. And that they actually are in the works for this even since before WrestleMania.
Now I saw a video on a speculation, and it may be part of the storyline, maybe to where um, uh, Sami Zayn is going to wind up winning Money in the Bank and going after the title shot with Roman.
I can see that happening. I haven't heard of it, but I can definitely see that happening.
Maybe Jay will have something to do with that whole scenario down the line. You got a whole year to build up to it.
Mm-hmm.
Where say if you have say if they lose the tag titles and then Zayn wins the Money in the Bank, and then Cody and Roman has a rematch, and maybe Cody winning it, and then having Zayn come in and beating Cody the same night.
I can't see them doing that to Cody. I can't see them doing that to Cody. Um, I can
Or
see, I can
even
see
one.
them doing that the way that Seth did it when he did his cash in. It just turned the one-on-one match into a triple threat. I can see maybe doing that,
That
but
would
I
be good.
cannot.
That would be
Yeah,
that, that would be huge. A huge
it would.
WrestleMania match.
Yes. But I cannot see them putting the title on Cody for just a couple of minutes. That, in all honesty, that's not fair to Cody. Um, but then again, I don't know. I don't know. Um, but a lot of people are now saying that if anybody is going to beat Roman, well, they've been kind of split now. They're saying Sammy should be the one to do it or Jay himself.
They'd really have to push Jay a whole lot for that to happen. It would be a long term storyline.
Yeah. Um, so I'm really curious to see is what's going to move on with the bloodline. But right now, I am really happy to see that Kevin and Sammy are the tag team champions. Um, even without the bloodline storyline, they have more than earned it because they came into wrestling together from the very beginning and they went everywhere together.
And I would like to see them keep it for a while.
Yeah, keep it at least through SummerSlam. That's that's good enough, Ryan. I would say keep it at least through SummerSlam. But if they do that, then that means, well, that doesn't really have to mean it, but that would theoretically mean no Money in the Bank for Samuel. Um, but there are ways around that.
Yeah. Even if
Um,
they had him as a tag title, um, here's the thing to think about too. Say they lose the titles, but say he wins the Money in the Bank, and they lose the tag titles. There's nothing in the thing. All it says he gets to choose a title match with anybody.
exactly.
Why couldn't
Exactly.
he turn it in for another tag title match?
Mhm.
That'd be something totally different than they've ever done before. Everybody always cashes in.
Yeah. So it's and Money in the Bank is going to be in England. So we'll see what happens. Um, yeah, we got 9 minutes now before we gotta end the show because I Rosie did get back with me. She is going to be doing her show, so she'll be doing that here in 9 minutes. Um,
Okay.
I honestly did not expect to be spending this whole show on just the first night.
First, well, we'd be farther along if my internet wouldn't be cutting out.
Well, true. And we did spend some time talking about SmackDown and the Hall of Fame, and
Yeah.
so we did have that. I
So,
wasn't planning on talking about those two.
yes. So next show we'll discuss the Brock Lesnar and Omos, which probably won't take very long.
No.
Ronda
Let's
Rousey.
see. You're working
Ronda,
next Wednesday, right?
do what?
You're working next week, right?
No, I'll be off the next Wednesday.
Oh, and I thought it was last week that you were
I worked.
off.
I worked last week. I'm off this week, and then the 19th.
Okay. So next week we can talk about night number two. Um, really quick, Miz and Pat McAfee. So as the host of WrestleMania, of course they're going to come out and talk about the announcement, um, talk about the attendance, which for night one was 80,479, which is big. that's a huge number. And I'm going through to take a look at attendance, and night one was one, two, three, four, five, the sixth highest. At the time, it was the fifth highest, but night number two went more than that. But as of night one WrestleMania, that was the fifth highest attendance in all of WrestleMania. Um,
And of
then
course, that's going to go with how big your venue is and
yes,
all that too. So, part.
yeah, I'm trying to see if maybe this is the first time they had it at SoFi. Apparently, it was WrestleMania.
They had a WrestleMania Goes Hollywood before.
It did, yeah. Oh, they just built that stadium. It just opened up not even 3 years ago.
And it was
So yeah, this was the first time WrestleMania was there, and yeah, this is the second time that they used the WrestleMania Goes Hollywood tagline.
I noticed also on that at that venue that it was you could see daylight outside for a good portion of the match. I mean, good portion of the show.
Yes. Yep. Um, and let's see here. Oh, oh I'm looking at a picture of WrestleMania now, and this is when it did get dark. I can't tell who's on the. Oh, that's that guy that did his song right when the Usos were coming out. I didn't like that guy. Lil Uzi Vert.
Yeah, I kind of skipped a lot of the intro stuff, uh, meaningless intro stuff. I'll say.
Yeah, well, they could have definitely skipped him. Um, I was not impressed by his performance. I thought they were doing this performance like they did with that Hardy guy at the Rumble, but it turns out that his performance was a part of the Usos entrance. Um, so I'm glad about that. Speaking of entrances, the guy, the conductor that did the whole thing with Seth Rollins, that was awesome.
That was definitely different.
It was different, and he had the entire crowd going with him.
Yeah, when Seth straight left and everybody,
Yeah.
you know,
How many conductors can say that they conducted 80,000 people?
right.
Uh, yeah, that was just awesome. I don't know how else to explain. That was just awesome. And the one mishap that they had, I didn't catch it until I read about it later when they were doing the video portion for Dominic's entrance. They had, and they were showing the prisons and everything before bringing him out. Well, the prison that they had on video ended up being a prison that they had during um, the concentration camps in World War II.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Oops, that's a big oops.
that was a big oops. I found out about that. It was either Monday or Tuesday after WrestleMania. As oh shit! How did they miss that one?
Yeah, how do you not do research
Right.
on that?
I gotta admit, it looked cool for what they were doing for Dominic, but using that specific one, yeah, probably not the best idea.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
they would have done better if they used something like Alcatraz or even Ohio State Reformatory.
Right. Um, being in the
But
paranormal, stuff, we've been to a lot of those older
right.
locations. Um,
Yeah, so if they'd have asked us, we'd have been able to tell them, okay, these are the
use this
good
one.
places
Use
to go
this one.
to.
Use this one. Use this one. Just watch the bats at this one.
Right. But to use the concentration prison camps, yeah, not good.
Let's not have any ovens on there either.
Yeah, but like you said, how do you not do research on this stuff before you do it? You have plenty of time to put this all together, find out where this stuff is from.
Yeah. You Googled cool looking prison
Right.
camps.
So all that would really be the only bad spot of night one for WrestleMania. Even though that bad spot for me, I didn't know about it until 3-4 days later. Um, it was great seeing Pat McAfee come back, and it looked like that they did it as a surprise again because you could see the look on Michael Cole's face. He was not expecting him to be there.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty cool, and it did give Miz a match, not not a proper match, but it still gave him a match under the WrestleMania banner.
Right.
And the next night, he would end up making history,
Yeah. And
albeit not a very good history, but still.
it was a it was a totally
It
improvised
was it was a
ending and
cluster. It was a cluster that second night,
yeah.
and not Mrs. Fault in any way. Nor was it Shane's, to be honest. But
Now I did see a video of some not really behind the scenes thing, but you can see in a video where the camera guy is doing this to
I
Snoop.
saw that too.
So it's
I saw
like,
that too. Yeah, that whole thing was just on the spot. They had
right,
to do something. But night one, every single match was top notch. Um, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, they came out. They showed you why they deserved to be the main event. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and the Usos, they came out and they showed you why they deserved the main event. Either one of those two. But every match that night, honestly, could have main evented a pay-per-view.
yeah,
Every one of them. They were that good. They were that spot on. They did so well. That was probably the best WrestleMania night that we have had in a long time.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Um, but what you
Okay.
got? What you
Huh?
got? What you have coming up on podcast soon? What's your
Well,
next?
I'm coming back on Supernatural Talk tomorrow. And then next for me after that, we'll be doing this show next week.
Okay. From what I understand, we're set to go on Paranormal Talk or Shadows Talk Sunday night. I
Okay.
believe at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, I think, is what our slot is.
Um, I can check that real quick for you.
It's probably 7 my time.
Shadows Talk is 6 to 7 your time.
Okay.
Is what 6 to 7 your time, because you'll be coming on right after Paris Sister Circle, and then ending right before Let's Talk About It.
Okay.
Because Paris Sisters is 5 to 6, then you are 6 to 7, and then Let's Talk About It is 7 to 8:30.
All right. I got to look at my topics. We had talked about. Of course, it's been a while since we did a show, but not quite sure on a topic just yet. I got a bunch of topics that I got to go into, and I got to send it over to Dr. Jim and get all that squared away.
Yeah, it'd be good to see you guys back on again.
Yeah, it's just been crazy. My life is busy right now. I got kids graduating, getting ready to go to college, and I got one that got accepted to MS, which is a preparatory school for college. He's going to be going in August. His last years of school will be not here.
And then, of course, smacking yourself in the head doesn't exactly help matters either.
No, it don't. I've had knee issues, forehead bleeding. We got everything with the kids. Just found out Thursday will be. So that's big news. Another grandbaby in December.
Did not hear what you said. You said you found out Thursday, and then that's big news.
Thursday, Thursday, just found out I'm going to be a grandfather again.
Oh, awesome.
My oldest should be 29, I guess. So, yeah, that's exciting news.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great news. Awesome.
So I'm sure my life will be back anytime soon.
Yeah, it's been a busy 4 weeks for the both of us.
Yeah. The closer I get to retirement from the fire department, the busier my life is becoming.
There you go.
So.
All right, folks. Well, the Spectre Sailor is already on, so we need to get off of here. So thank you for playing along, watching the show. Next week, we will be back and talk about night 2. And maybe do the same thing, start an hour early so we can talk about that one. I'm sure we're going to have a lot to say about that night too.
Yeah, considering the lineup and all and everything that happened, because there's going to be a couple matches where we're going to really talk a good bit about. I really want to get into
talk about the aftermath too.
Yeah, I really want to get into that Edge and Balor match, because to me that was rough.
That was, yeah. For me, it was the Intercontinental title match that really
that was a really good match. Really good match.
All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and get off of here. It's good to be back. So
definitely.
We will see you guys next week when we talk about night 2 of WrestleMania 39. Have a good night, guys.
See y'all. Thanks for tuning in tonight.